Moving on to issue two. Morgan Stanley holds nearly $30 million in Bitcoin funds. Just recently, Morgan Stanley said that qualifying clients had the ability to buy Bitcoin, and they've been buying it like crazy. 322 clients participated in the funds, buying $30 million in Bitcoin, teaching an old bank new tricks. Ben Ark, your thoughts on Morgan Stanley and their customers who apparently want to buy Bitcoin?
I could see your notes in that screenshot. It's a good thing you didn't write any rude things about us. Yeah, no, Morgan Stanley, 3 weeks ago, they said that people could start using Grayscale to buy Bitcoin or something. And now, what was it? Is it 30 million or 300 million? I've lost. 30 million. How much was it?
30, I think.
30 million, yeah, 30 million. Is that in Grayscale or is that in Bitcoin? Is that just their clients have been buying Bitcoin?
It's in Bitcoin. I don't know.
Directly in Bitcoin. Okay, so I thought it might be related to the Grayscale thing 3 weeks ago.
It won't let me up to the desk. Morgan Stanley, this is for unique custom clients that have more than $1 million or more than $5 million in holding in the company. For that amount of money, they'll go out to CoinDesk or Coinbase and make you an account. And,
yeah, it's huge. I mean, like, so I mean, obviously they'll say the line that this is a highly volatile asset. It should be a small percentage of your portfolio, maybe 3, 4, 5% or something like that. And then I'm sure that they've got some other clients, you know, who want more than that as a portfolio. But there's this theory among a lot of Bitcoiners that these big financial funds are just going to dump the market and dump Bitcoin, like, you know, pump the price, then dump the Bitcoin. They're not. They've got to excuse their buying to their investors, and trying to time a Bitcoin top as it is, you know, proven to be very, very hard. So they're gonna buy into all the rhetoric we all buy into, you know, that this asset is going to continue to increase in substantially in value as long as we have to hold it for a decent period of time, which is done, you know, historically, and is a good investment historically if you do that. If you start trying to muck around buying dips, and you end up losing all your money. So it's good news that they're buying up Bitcoin, and if they're building that hodler bedrock, just the next level of hodler bedrock, they'll keep it in their portfolio. That 5% will swing around, and then in 3 or 4 years' time, that 5% will be, you know, the biggest earner which they've made in their portfolio, and that'll bring more people into the Bitcoin sphere. But no, it's big news that they're buying up Bitcoin. I don't think it's going to stop with the price going down either. If anything, maybe there'll be. I know we've broken through that 50-day moving average thing, and on a chart, it doesn't look so good for Bitcoin. But these people, they're bright people. That they'll be advising them to hold on to their Bitcoin and just enjoy the ride, and just not put too much of their portfolio into it.
Dan, Eve.
Well, I suppose it's good that they've got exposure. Again, I think if it is as crazy as they're opening a Coinbase account, then they're multiplying the third party risk that they've got there, you know, by going not just holding the Bitcoin, but they're using someone else to have an account to hold the Bitcoin with Coinbase. So it's a peculiar way of doing things, but as long as they have the Bitcoin, I'm sure that in no time they'll be dipping their toes in further, spinning up a Bitcoin node, and you know, going all out with LM bits as well, being fully self-sovereign, hopefully. But yeah, it does seem like it's kind of like the timing's pretty bad for all these you know, these new companies and stuff opening up to Bitcoin. Yeah, you don't want them sort of buying the top and then panicking and then, you know, selling and then yeah, you know, hating Bitcoin forever. So as long as they can hodl through and just realize that this is like the general market movement, yeah, hopefully things will be all good for these new Bitcoiners.
Josh Shigala.
What I find really sad is that these big institutions are jumping in right at the top and allowing, and they have this huge rhetoric about, ooh, be careful that you invest, and you know, everything needs to be regulated to hell, and no. But we'll only offer it when the hype train is in full swing, instead of, you know, allowing them to their clients to buy a bit earlier on. What I find absolutely sort of weird and it's kind of twisted is it's only $30 million. I mean, it's a lot of money for a single individual, of course, but for a bank like Morgan Stanley, they sort of have that as a little, that's like a sprinkle on top of a cake. It's just nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I find these sort of news articles strange that they sort of gloat, that there's a sort of gloat that there's 30 million bucks there. Something doesn't smell right. And the whole that they're buying like opening Coinbase accounts for their client. I mean,
I don't know. That Coinbase account thing was a joke, man. I'm really joking here.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
The idea being that if you're so rich, you had to wait for JP Morgan to offer it for you. You could have just walked up to Coinbase at any point in the past 7 years and bought yourself some Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But you needed to get this white glove service. I agree with a lot with what Josh is saying. I think that CNBC does the same thing, where when the price of Bitcoin was up last time, they put a special box on the screen. Here's the price of Bitcoin, and it stuck out from the other boxes, like it didn't fit in a little system. And then when the price went down, the box went away and they stopped talking about it. Now that it's back, the box is back, but they put it inside where the Dow is and the other markets. So it's a bit more permanent, like they're not going to stop talking about it this time. But again, same thing. When they're not talking about it, that's when you should be buying. Now that JP Morgan's offering you the chance to buy internally, sadly, it looks like the sheep are getting fleeced. Stefan Kinsella, your thoughts about JP Morgan offering Bitcoin to their clients?
Well, I think it's inevitable. This is part of the process of hyper Bitcoinization, right? More and more avenues for people to get exposure to it, consumers, rich individuals, institutional investors. And, every time this happens, you get more attention and then more people want to do it. There's more pressure on these companies to offer it. I just hope that I don't think this retrenchment is going to hurt. I think it's temporary, and I don't think they're going to back off. Sort of like in the days of the Bitcoin as payment, early days idea, when all these merchants were trying to say they were accepting Bitcoin in payment, and then it all kind of fell apart. I don't see this following the same path.
Exit question: will the other banks follow JP Morgan? Is there no way to stop this? They're all going to cascade in, or is this an outlier? Ben Ark.
Yeah, they have, even if, rich people are just like anyone else, aren't they? They're talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's on topic at the moment in those conversations they have at their family meal. And I think it's good that it's a small amount, that it's not some crazy, ridiculous amount, because I do think that it's sort of sensible buying. It's a small part of their portfolio, but we just need more of that. We just need more of these rich people to have it as a small part of their portfolio. And then they're less likely to do that thing which I spoke about before, of potentially dumping on the market, because it doesn't really affect their net worth so much. And it's something which they're willing, a percentage in which they're willing to suffer the crazy price fluctuations, because they know that historically it goes up very significantly.
Dan, Eve.
So I suppose if it does a big retrace, I reckon there'd probably be more likely for other banks to get involved, because they'll know that it's going to swing back up eventually. Whereas if it just keeps on kind of climbing, I think that other banks and institutions might be a bit reluctant, just simply because of the fact that they won't want to be that company that made their clients buy the top. But on the Morgan Stanley, I think they said that there was 5% of their wealth was a maximum that they were allowed to invest. So if there's 30 million in there, then that gives about 600 million of wealth that's interested in buying Bitcoin. And obviously, the glorious thing about Bitcoin is that you don't need Morgan Stanley to get Bitcoin. In fact, it's just much better to have your own and hold your own. So this might be in a time where people start circumventing that and thinking, right, well, I'll have 5% via Morgan Stanley, but I'll start stacking sats in the background because I'm waiting for this stock to flow 250K to come around the corner. So I think more banking institutions will follow. Timing wise, not sure about now because of the fear of buying the top.